It does. Crazy and crazier.
He's barely in there. Whatever.
You realize you're making me upset, right?
Whatever.
Better?
That's
Is it better?
good.
Okay.
Anyways, they were doing an interesting case. Let's see here. They were doing the Cecil Hotel and the Elisa Lamb disappearance.
I have yet to hear about these.
Like normal, we're going to go into the Cecil Hotel, and then we're going to go into the Elisa Lamb and her conspiracy theories and some of the ghost hauntings and such that.
Whoa.
Stay tuned to the end for ghost hauntings. Alright.
She said.
Okay, so the Cecil Hotel has changed its name to Stay on Main. It's now a budget hotel in downtown Los Angeles, located at 640 South Main Street. Opened in 1927, it has 600 guest rooms. The hotel has a checkered history, but as of 2017, it was being renovated and redeveloped into a mix of hotel rooms, residential units.
600, that's a lot.
So it's going to be an apartment complex and
wow. The Cecil was rebuilt in 1900 by hotelier William Banks Hanner as a destination for business travelers and tourists. Huh. Designed by Lloyd Lester Smith in the Beaux Arts style, the hotel cost $1 million to complete and boasted an opulent marble lobby with stained glass windows, potted palms, and alabaster statuary. Ooh, that sounds pretty.
Mm-hmm. Hanner had invested confidently in the enterprise with the knowledge that several similar hotels had been established elsewhere downtown, but within 5 years of its opening, the United States sank into the Great Depression.
Sorry, I'm trying to get more comfortable in the shot. Although the hotel flourished as a fashionable destination through the 1940s, the decades beyond saw the hotel decline as the nearby area known as Skid Row became increasingly populated with transients.
Which, if you don't know what Skid Row is, it's like a place where all the homeless people kind of live, basically. As many as 10,000 homeless people lived within a 4-mile radius. By the 1950s, the hotel had gained a reputation as a residence for transients. That just proves that there's been people homeless for years. But people seem to think it's a new thing. What I don't understand, I gotta get on the soapbox for a minute, is where do the people think that these people are gonna sleep? Like, how would you like to go without sleeping? Like, nobody wants to sleep on the benches, nobody wants to sleep anywhere. Where are they supposed to go?
Oh yeah, I remember being homeless and they wouldn't even let us sleep in the park.
Like,
during the day when it's safe, you know?
Like, you don't have homeless shelters. Like, you have all these abandoned places. Make them into homeless shelters or something. Like,
why not?
Like, you're just supposed to expect these poor people. And then rent is too high. So, like, what are you supposed to do? And you can't work if you're disabled. Like, if you wait for disability and stuff. What are you supposed to do? It's just ridiculous. Anyway, I gotta see something.
No, agreed. As many as 10,000 homeless people lived within a 4-mile radius. By the 1950s, the hotel had gained a reputation as a residence for transients.
Yeah, I just read that.
What? Oh. My bad. Okay, let me try again. In 2007, a portion of the hotel was refurbished after new owners took over. Yeah, there you go. That's me. I thought it sounded familiar.
Alright. In 2011, the Cecil Hotel was rebranded as Stay on Main, complete with a new website. Its old website, thececilhotel.com, expired at the end of 2013.
Where is the Cecil Hotel?
Los Angeles.
Oh. Interesting. In 2014, the hotel was sold to New York hotelier Richard Bourne, for $30 million, and another New York-based firm, Simon Barron Development, acquired a 99-year ground lease on the property. Wow. Matt Barron, president of Simon Barron, said he was committed to the preservation and architecturally or historically significant components such as the hotel's grand lobby, but his company planned to completely redevelop the interior and fix the hodgepodge work that had been done in more recent years. Honestly, though, everybody's so worried about preserving all these historical sites, but why are we spending money on preserving historical sites when there's people on the streets? Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Because they're beautiful.
It's wonderful that they're beautiful. Make them, not be able to tear them down. But hire the transients and the homeless people to fix it up. Why not? Give them some money so that they can freaking have a place to sleep.
Yeah, a lot of them are drug addicts, but they're still humans.
Well,
and a lot of them are veterans.
That's not even the case,
I'm just saying, like, that's what people say. They're like, oh, but they're drug addicts. But that doesn't matter.
Honestly, some of them became drug addicts after they were homeless because, they can't really sleep.
That's true. They got no place to sleep, so they're going to do meth to stay up. I mean...
Or coke. Sorry, I just had to get that out there.
Beyond renovating rooms, the developer also plans a rooftop pool, gym, and lounge. Construction is projected to be complete by 2019. I wonder if they completed it yet.
Interesting to find out. In February 2017, the Los Angeles City Council voted to deem the Cecil Historical Cultural Monument because it is representative of an early 20th century American hotel and because of historic significance of its architect's body of work. Interesting.
As the area where the Cecil Hotel is located began to decline, suicides and other violent deaths on the premises became more frequent. So now we're going to start diving into the dark side of the Cecil.
The first documented suicide at the Cecil was reported in 1931 when a guest named W.K. Norton died in his room after taking poison capsules.
Probably cyanide capsules. A lot of people did that.
That's a little creepy. Just a little.
Let's see. Okay. Throughout the 1940s and 1950s, more suicides at the Cecil occurred.
By the 1960s, longtime residents had begun to call the Cecil the Suicide. Oh yeah, I heard of that. The Suicide Hotel.
In addition to suicides, the Cecil's history includes other kinds of violence and salacious happenings. It also became a notorious rendezvous. Wow, I did not even know that's how you spelled rendezvous.
It's a
spot for adulterous couples, drug activity, and prostitution.
I think it's funny that
Let's go. No, I'm just kidding, people. Don't do drugs.
I think it's funny that I can tell what you were trying to say without having to look at the paper.
You always do.
In your head.
You always do. We have a weird connection.
Very weird connection. But it works out.
Valentino.
In 1947, Elizabeth Short,
as in the Black Dahlia,
dubbed by the media as the Black Dahlia, was rumored to have been spotted drinking at the Cecil's bar in the days before her notorious and to date unsolved murders, but there is no proof.
There's been people that say there is, and there's people that say there isn't,
If
so
they could
we're
get
not sure.
If they could have gotten a picture of her in there, that would have been amazing. But back then, pictures took time.
See, I want to do that case, but the pictures really disturb me. Like, I have a hard time with the pictures, and I like to post the pictures. So.
Really?
It's one of the few cases that I have that inject the ripper. I have a hard time looking at their dead bodies, too.
Why?
I just do when I like to look at that word shit. Okay, 1964, a retired telephone operator named Pigeon Goldie Osgood, who had been a well-known and well-liked long-term resident of the hotel, was found dead in her room. She had been raped, stabbed, and beaten, and her room ransacked. A man named Jessica B. Ellinger was charged with Osgood's murder, but he was later cleared, and her death remains unsolved.
Pigeon? Her name is Pigeon.
Pigeon Goldie.
Hopefully that's just part of her nickname.
Unless she liked pigeons. I mean, there's maybe pigeon ladies, like back then, that
Yeah.
feed the pigeons. I know. I think part of why the Black Dahlia freaks me out is the fact that they cut her ear to ear, like her mouth.
Oh, her?
Yeah.
Not the people she murdered, but her.
Black Dahlia is a murder victim.
I thought the Black Dahlia was
No.
a murderer.
No, she was a victim. Elizabeth Short. And then she was also, her arms and legs and torso were cut in half, and it's very gruesome.
Oh. Well, now I'm going to have to read about that.
We'll have to do a video.
But the pictures.
We'll have to get past
Okay. Perhaps most infamously, in the 1980s, the hotel was rumored to be the residence of a serial killer, Richard Ramirez, nicknamed the Night Stalker.
You guys all know Richard Ramirez.
Ramirez had been a regular presence on the Skid Row area of Los Angeles, but according to a hotel clerk who claims to have spoken to him, is rumored to have stayed at the Cecil for a few weeks. Ramirez may have engaged in part of his killing spree while staying there. Ooh.
I'll put a picture of Richard Ramirez.
I wonder if he killed people in the hotel and then took them and put them somewhere else. Ooh.
Knowing him. Well,
That means that there's probably people, like, stuck in the hotel, like ghosts and shit from when he murdered them.
There is ghosts.
I mean, from his murders, specifically.
Probably.
Creeperific,
man. Okay. Another serial killer, Austrian Jack Unterweger, stayed at the Cecil in 1991, possibly because he sought to copy Ramirez's crimes. While there, he strangled and killed at least 3 sex workers, for which he was convicted in Austria. He hanged himself shortly after his conviction.
Whoa.
Here's my footage.
Just well. That's well. In 2013, the Cecil, by then rebranded as the Stay on Main, although still maintaining the original Hotel Cecil signs and painted advertisements on its exterior. That's it? That's all it says? Well, it just makes it sound like it's going to say something else. And then it doesn't, and it goes into what you have to say.
Interesting.
It must have been cut off somehow. So it just stops. Makes it sound like it's going to say something, and then it just stops.
Now we can get into the strange death of Elisa.
This is going to be interesting to me because I don't remember hearing about this.
You don't know about Lisa Lamb?
I don't think so.
Hopefully I can find a video too of what, because there's that video that everybody has seen. Hopefully I can find a version that I can put in here.
Lamb, the daughter of immigrants from Hong Kong, who opened a restaurant in Burnaby, just outside Vancouver, Canada, was a student at the University of British Columbia, although she was not registered at the beginning of 2013.
Fuzzy butt do.
Hermione, what are you doing on Mama's leg? Mommy's knee.
Okay.
We're on the cruise.
She traveled alone on Amtrak and intercity buses. She visited the San Diego Zoo and posted photos taken there on social media. Yeah, on the crease for sure.
Jeez. On January 26th, she arrived in Los Angeles. After 2 days, she checked into the Cecil Hotel near downtown Skid Row. Skid Row. Isn't Skid Row in prisons, like, where they put people that's, like, right before death row or something?
I think so. She was initially assigned a shared room on the hotel's 5th floor. However, her roommates complained about what the hotel's lawyer would later describe as certain odd behavior, and she was moved to a room of her own after 2 days.
I wonder what the odd behavior was. Lamb had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression. She had been prescribed 4 medications: Wellbutrin,
I didn't like Wellbutrin.
Lamictal. Oh no, I hated it.
It made me more anxious than it was preventive.
It made me fuzzy-headed.
That too.
Like, when I ran out of it, because I didn't have it for 2 weeks. When I ran out of it, I felt better. I felt less fuzzy-headed. I just stopped taking it after that.
Checking my feet.
Lamictal, Seroquel, and Effexor. Okay,
Effexor too?
Why would they put her on Wellbutrin and Effexor? Those are both depression medications.
She was very, very, like, mentally unstable. I know that much.
Anyway, she was on these 4 to treat her disorders. According to her family, who supposedly kept her history of mental illness a secret, she had no history of suicidal ideations or attempts, although one report claimed she had previously gone missing for a brief period. Okay, but going missing and having suicidal ideations are two
she was a
different
young
things.
person, too, and she was in the mood for adventure, so she might have just, like, every once in a while, go on an adventure.
One of my exes was bipolar, and she just kind of...
It's like this trip was...
roams.
Yeah, this trip was supposed to be an adventure. So she just kind of...
She just roamed.
In mid-2010, she began a blog named Either Fields on Blogspot. Over the next 2 years, she posted pictures of models in fashionable clothing and accounts of her life, particularly her struggle with mental illness. By the way, all of our social media is still up. You can check everything out.
Interesting. In a January 2012 blog post, Lamb lamented that a relapse at the start of the current school term had forced her to drop several classes, leaving her feeling so utterly directionless and lost. She titled her post, "You're always haunted by the idea you're wasting your life," after a quotation from novelist Chuck, I'm going to butcher the shit out of this, Palahniuk. She used that quote as an epigraph of her blog. She worried that her transcript would look suspicious with so many withdrawals, and that it would result in her being unable to continue her studies and attend graduate school. I think it was Hermione crying out. Yeah, her voice sounds like strangled sometimes. I told you, her voice isn't deepening. I think she's just crying so much that she has a sore throat.
I don't think that was Hermione.
Well, it sounded like her. To me.
You guys let me know what you think. Because Valentino's right here. It wasn't because of him.
And Hermione's out there where the noise came from.
Anyways, where were you?
You would be at a little over 2 years.
A little over 2 years after Lamb had started blogging, she announced that she would be abandoning her blog for another she had started on Tumblr. Novella Navu. Its content mostly consisted of found fashion photos and quotes, and a few posts in Lamb's own words. The same Palahniuk,
that's the one I butchered,
quote was used as an epigraph.
Lamb contacted her parents in British Columbia every day while she traveled.
It's not like she completely disappeared, you guys. On January 31st, 2013, the day she was scheduled to check out of the Cecil and leave for Santa Cruz, they did not hear from her and called the Los Angeles police. Her family flew to Los Angeles to help with the search. Hotel staff who saw her that day said she was alone. Outside the hotel, Katie Orphan,
manager of a nearby bookstore, was the only person who recalled seeing Lam that day. She was outgoing, very lively, very friendly, while getting gifts to take home to her family, Orphan told CNN. She was talking about what book she was getting and whether or not what she was getting would be too heavy for her to carry around as she traveled, Orphan added.
See, most people that are about to kill themselves don't
buy
ahead.
things.
They don't I'm going to go plan this trip, or I'm going to go buy this gift.
They don't go buying things. If anything, people who have suicidal thoughts and actually want to carry it out and have a plan will get rid of things. Take stuff that they don't want to have around when they killed themselves to, like, the Goodwill or something.
Or to friends.
Or give it to people that they love and care about. Here, this is a piece of me, kind of thing. They don't buy more shit.
Yeah, also leaves suicide notes, of which she does not.
But that's not always the case.
Well, usually.
90% of the time they'll leave a suicide note, but they don't always.
Alright. Police searched the hotel to the extent that they legally could. They searched Lam's room and her dog and her dogs go through the building, including the rooftop, but the canines were unsuccessful in detecting her scent. But we didn't search every room, Sergeant Rudy Lopez said later. We could only do that if we had probable cause to believe a crime had been committed.
Well, yeah, they can't just go into people's rooms and be like, we're going to look for this girl. But if they had gone from her room...
But if it's a motel, you would think they'd have that right, too. I don't know.
Well, if they had gone from her room, they could have picked up the scent from her room and then followed it to wherever it led.
That's true.
So, I don't understand what that's about, but whatever.
They were kind of hokey through the whole thing anyways.
Nobody was really caring. The problem. On February 6th, a week after Lam had been last seen, the LAPD decided more help was needed. Flyers with her image were posted in the neighborhood and online. It brought the case to the public's attention through the media.
And by the way, they tell you that you have to wait 24 hours to...
48 hours.
48 hours to contact the police for missing persons is a bunch of bullshit, just so you guys know.
Well, it's a standard.
Yeah, but you can...
But if they were expected somewhere within that 24-hour period, you have every right to be like,
especially if they're under 18.
She was supposed to be here, and she's not.
It's just a lot of people think, I can't call the police because it hasn't been 48 hours. That's not true.
You can report anybody missing 2 hours after they were supposed to show up at your house.
Alright, on February 15th, after another week with no sign of her, the LAPD released a video of the last known sighting of her taken in one of the Cecil's elevators, which hopefully I'll try and get a video of. By a video surveillance camera on February 1st, it drew worldwide interest in the case due to Lam's strange behavior and has been extensively analyzed and discussed, which we'll get into.
You'll have to show me that video.
Well, we're going to talk about it here.
Okay, but I want to see it, too.
Yeah, I know. So there's bits and pieces of that video missing, and some of it's sped ahead. It's very hard to find accurate video. Somebody manipulated it.
I apologize. I'm having a little bit of an issue with a tickle in my throat.
Which makes it more creepy looking. Because they've kind of...
messed with it. Okay, here we go. In the clip, the camera at one of the elevator's cab's rear corners looks down from the ceiling, offering a view not just of its interior, but the hallway outside as well. It is somewhat grainy, and the timestamp at the bottom is obscured. At some point, Lam's mouth is pixelized. Why would her mouth be pixelized?
I'm guessing because she's talking. Maybe it's too fast for the camera. It's a really crappy camera that they have in there.
Well, that's not good ever.
At the time, Lam enters clad in a red zippered hooded sweatshirt over a gray t-shirt with a black shorts and sandals. And they're men's shorts, by the way.
Like basketball shorts?
Somebody, yeah.
Like
what you wear.
Yeah. That's what I thought. So she just said that. I was like, oh, like my basketball shorts.
Which people thought was really weird that she'd be wearing men's basketball shorts. I don't know if that was not her style or what. But
like, I'm known for
girl
that
is comfortable. It's comfortable. She probably stole it from some boyfriend or something.
She enters from the left and goes to the control panel, appears to select several floors, and then steps back to the corner. After a few seconds during which the door fails to close, she steps up to it, leans forward so her head is through the door, looks in both directions, and then quickly steps back in, backing up to the wall and then into the corner near the control panel. The door remains open.
So they were saying that she was supposed to have glasses, but she didn't have her glasses on. That's why she just knew that she was on, I believe it was the 5th floor, so she was pushing all the middle buttons. Which then she might have accidentally pushed the door, the not door closed button.
There's one that's door open.
Mm-hmm. So they're thinking that's why it was being weird, and she thought maybe somebody was pressing it from the outside. She was kind of tripping out because she wasn't taking her meds or she was supposed to. But
interesting.
Let's see. She walks to it again and stands in the doorway, leaning on the side. Suddenly, she steps out into the hall, then to her side. Back in, looking to the side, then back out. She then steps sideways again, and for a few seconds she is mostly invisible behind the wall. She has her back to just outside. The door remains open.
Even if you hit the door open button, it doesn't stay open that long.
It was open for quite a long time.
But you have to keep hitting it to keep it from shutting or put your arm in the way.
People also speculated that somebody was just out of the way of the camera. You couldn't see them. Or, I don't know.
Her right arm can be seen going up to her head, and then she turns to re-enter the cab, putting both hands on the side of the door. She then goes to the control panel, presses many more buttons, some more than once, and then returns to the wall she had come into the elevator from.
She seems very frantic, like she's just trying to get out of there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if somebody was following her or what it was, but she does seem like she's just trying to get out of that place, and she's very frantic.
Putting both hands over her ears again briefly as she walks back to the section of wall she had been standing against before, the door remains open. Now, it's not every case of bipolar, but some of them do hear voices.
That'd be schizophrenia, though.
Not necessarily. They hear voices, but they don't listen to the voice. See, schizophrenia is where they usually listen and talk back to the voices, but bipolar, sometimes they just hear it. And they want it to shut up, you know?
Maybe that's why she's all...
That's what I said. That's why I said that.
But of course, she was young enough, too. She may have had schizophrenia and not been diagnosed yet.
Right. Because that usually comes in around 18 to 22.
Or late 20s, too, for a late diagnosis.
Pretty girl.
She turns to her right and begins rubbing her forearms together, then waves her hands out to her sides with palms flat and fingers outstretched, while bowing forward slightly and rocking gently. This can all be seen through the door, which remains open. After she backs to the wall again and walks away to the left, it finally closes. She also is doing this weird thing with her fingers and counting, and it's a really trippy video.
Maybe she was talking to a ghostie.
And she was walking all funny and moving weird.
It was reposted widely, including to the Chinese video sharing site Youku, where it got 3 million views and 40,000 comments in its first 10 days. Many of the commenters found it unsettling to watch.
It is very unsettling.
I definitely want to see it, though. Just so I can see exactly, because, reading about something, sometimes I can kind of see it in my head, but sometimes it's just good to see the actual product. Interesting.
What's that white?
That's the light. If I move my head, it disappears. Okay.
Yeah, several theories evolved to explain her actions. One was that Lam was trying to get the elevator car to move in order to escape from someone pursuing her.
Others suggested that she might be under the influence of ecstasy or some other party drug. Now, ecstasy doesn't normally have that side effect, though.
But also, they did a drug test, like a analysis of her blood, so...
Was she found? Oh.
We'll get into that. Dun, dun, dun.
Okay. Well, you just ruined the story for me.
No, there's more. Alright. When her bipolar disorder became known, the theory that she was having psychotic episode also emerged. Because I think she had more than just bipolar.
Other viewers argued that the video had been tampered with before being made public. Besides the obscuring of the timestamp, they claimed parts had been slowed down and nearly a minute of footage had been discreetly removed. That's very interesting. Indeed.
This could have been done simply to protect the identity of someone who otherwise would be in the video but had little or nothing to do with the case, or to conceal evidence of Lamb's disappearance and death had been the result of a criminal act. Why would they? She was the only one in there. Why would they just...
If the door is finally closed, then who was in the car with her? Where did they come from?
Unless there's a cover-up.
Maybe. During the search for Lamb, guests at the hotel began complaining about low water pressure. Some later claimed their water was colored black and had an unusual taste.
Yeah. Ew.
I think there was a movie based on her disappearance.
We'll get into that.
Because it sounds familiar.
The movie came out before her death.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that where they got the idea to hide her body?
We'll get into that. On the morning of February 19th, the day after my mom's birthday, Lamb's body was found in one of 4 1,000 gallon or 3,785 liter tanks providing water to guest rooms, a kitchen, and a coffee shop. Oops.
That's so nasty. They were drinking her bodily fluids.
They were drinking a dead body and showering in the dead body.
Oh.
And their coffee, too.
Oh, God, that makes me nauseous. The tank was drained and cut open since its maintenance hatch was too small to accommodate equipment needed to remove Lamb's body. Oh, I'm going to throw up.
Let's see. Okay. People have said that the hotel didn't tell the guests not to drink the water and what they found in the tank.
Definitely going to throw up. On February 21st, the Los Angeles Coroner's Office issued a finding of accidental drowning with bipolar disorder as a significant factor.
Thing is, the medical examiner crossed out the section that said suspicious death and then put suicide.
The full coroner's report, released in June, stated that Lamb's body had been found naked, clothing similar to what she had worn in the elevator video was floating in the water, coated with a sand-like particle. Her watch and room key were also found with her.
So why was she stripped naked?
One, why would she strip naked if she was going to jump in the tank? And two, why would she put the clothes in the tank too?
You may not want to listen to this part.
Ugh,
Lamb's body was moderately decomposed and bloated.
graphic.
It was mostly greenish with some marbling evident on the abdomen and skin separated evident. If anybody's ever seen, like, modeling, it happens right before you die. It's your blood is like...
So gross.
You literally, like, turn purple spots.
There was no evidence of physical trauma, sexual assault, or suicide. Toxicology tests incomplete because not enough of her blood was preserved.
Oh, okay.
Showed traces consistent with prescription medication found among her belongings, plus non-prescription drugs such as Sinutab and ibuprofen. I'm guessing Sinutab is just like Sudafed.
Probably.
A very small quantity of alcohol, about 0.02, was present, but no other recreational drugs.
But also, I read that there was signs of sexual, but I don't know. Certain places are saying there wasn't, certain places say there is.
Oh, okay. You accidentally missed one. So now you're on the not marked. You see the black mark? Me. No black mark.
Oh.
So now you're on the not black mark. Because you can't
Interesting. The investigation had determined how Lamb died, but did not offer an explanation as to how she got into the tank in the first place.
That's what I'm wondering. Doors and stairs that access the hotel's roof are locked, with only staff having the passcodes and keys, and any attempt to force them would supposedly have triggered an alarm. I can't speak today.
She's a very, very small little Asian lady.
Yeah, but still, how did she get
exactly
up there by herself? No access.
Okay. However, the hotel's fire escape could have allowed her to bypass those security measures if she or someone else who might have accompanied her there had known. There's a video on YouTube where they take the fire stairs up to the top and are able to make it to the top. So there is a way to get up to the roof without.
Those are supposed to be locked. Like there's supposed to be a section that's like 6 feet that's like covering the stairs and locked so that you can only get up there if you have the key to access it. But I've seen people like put their feet on either side of it and just shinny up.
This would add no gates or just stairs to go up to the roof.
Interesting. A video made by a Chinese user after Lam's death and posted to the internet showed that the hotel's roof was easily accessible via the fire escape and that 2 of the lids of the water tanks were open.
Well, apparently I forgot that I put that in there. But then how did she close it behind her? Apart from the question of how she got on the roof, others asked if she could have gotten into the tank by herself. All 4 tanks are 4 by 8 feet, or 1.2 by 2.4 meters, cylinder propped up on concrete blocks. There is no fixed access to them, and hotel workers had to use a ladder to look into the water.
So
she's a very tiny little lady.
I doubt she would have climbed the damn thing, and I doubt there was even really a way to do so.
No, it's a very slick, like
steep sides, no handholds,
it's a cylinder.
Footholds.
It's a water cylinder.
And okay, let's say she did get in there by herself. She would have had to put a ladder up, jump in,
close the lid, and also how'd she close the lid?
Let the ladder go.
Anyway.
They are protected by heavy lids that would be difficult to replace from within. Police dogs that searched through the hotel for Lamb, even on the roof shortly after her disappearance was noted, did not find any trace of her, although they had not searched the area near the water tanks. Okay, so they're basically saying these lids are heavy as hell, so even if she could get it open, or if it was open, she's going to have a hell of a time trying to drag it towards the hole. Think of it like a sewer lid. Those things are heavy. You're not going to be able to drag that over without a little bit of help.
She's just a little lady. Like she probably weighed a couple 100 pounds soaking wet at the most.
That, like 100 pounds soaking wet.
Let's see. Theories about Lamb's behavior in the elevator video did not stop with her death. Some argue that she was attempting to hide from pursuer, perhaps someone ultimately responsible for her death, while others said she was merely frustrated with the elevator's apparent malfunction.
if I believe that. Some proponents of the theory that she was under the influence of illicit drugs are not dissuaded by their absence from the toxicology screen, suggesting that they might have been broken down during the period time her body decomposed in the tank, or that she might have taken rare cocktails of such drugs that a normal screen would not detect.
I mean, there's some drugs that are undetectable.
Okay, but the first one, that's ridiculous. If alcohol can stay in her bloodstream, so can drugs.
Especially such little amount of alcohol. But then also, if that was such a little amount, maybe there was more.
I don't know. Still hard to tell.
The autopsy report and its conclusions have also been questioned. For instance, it does not say what the results of the rape kit and fingernail kit were, and even if they were processed, it has also recorded subsequent pooling of blood in Lamb's anal area, which some observers suggested was a sign of sexual abuse. However, one pathologist has noted it could have also been resulted from bloating in the course of the body decomposition. An erection was also prolapsed. Even the coroner's pathologist appeared to be ambivalent about the conclusion that Lamb's death was accidental. In case you guys don't know what prolapse means,
it's disgusting.
The insides of her rectum have came out, basically.
Yeah, like from your rectum on in, there's a tube that's, what is that, the large intestine? Mm-hmm. And some of that comes out of your booty.
It can happen to your uterus, too, after having children.
It can happen if you push too hard pooing.
You have to push really hard, though.
It's basically the muscles are going, what the fuck, what the hell? And then everything just kind of pops out.
I mean, it happens with breath,
For God's sake, don't look it up. It's disgusting. You don't want to see it. It's awful.
People are into it, though.
Yeah, but for God's sake, don't look it up. Since her death, her Tumblr blog was updated, presumably through Tumblr's queue option, which allows posts to automatically publish themselves when the user is away.
Yeah, I guess there's a way to schedule posts.
I've heard of it, but I've never actually...
I'm not really a Tumblr person.
Me either.
Her phone was not found either with her body or in her hotel room and has been assumed to have been stolen at some time around her death.
Whether continued updates to her blog were facilitated by the theft of her phone, the work of a hacker, or through the queue, it is not known, nor is it known whether the updates are related to her death. Interesting.
In September, Lamb's parents filed a wrongful death suit claiming the hotel failed to inspect and seek out hazards in the hotel that presented an unreasonable risk of danger to Lamb and other hotel guests, and seeking unspecified damages and burial costs. Well, they didn't have the fire escape blocked off or anything.
Well, no, but...
The tank wasn't closed. Which also means that the tank wasn't closed.
But it was closed when they went to find it.
But stuff was getting into the water anyway. Ew.
But it was closed when they found her body.
Because that's water's supposed to be like...
drinking water.
So that means dirt and shit was getting into the water. That's gross.
Well, is it filtered at the bottom of the tank?
I would hope so, but still.
The hotel argued it could not have reasonably foreseen that Lamb might have entered the water tanks, and that since it remained unknown how Lamb got to the water tank, no liability could be assigned for failing to prevent that. In 2015, the suit was dismissed.
So you got one or the other, like...
Theories.
Theories on her death. Sue apparently. She suffered from depression and committed suicide. She had a manic episode and accidentally drowned. She was tripping on drugs. She was killed by a rapist. She was murdered by a hotel employee. Her death was inspired by the movie Dark Water. She was assassinated over a government project. She was a tuberculosis drug test subject. Her death was sacrificed to the dark energy of the Cecil Hotel. The hotel ghosts were tormenting her. She traveled to another dimension via the elevator game. There is a bizarre connection to Aleister Crowley.
I still think an employee probably did it. Because they would have had to put a ladder up to get her in there. And then remove the ladder and shut the door.
It was murder somehow.
Somebody did it. There's no way she killed herself. There's no freaking way. There's no possible way she could have shut the door and gotten rid of the ladder after getting into the tank. Somebody was there.
Or something. Someone.
No, I'm scared. Dark Water. Elisa Lamb's death. Am I saying that right? Elisa?
Mm-hmm.
Elisa Lamb's death is so eerily similar to the horror movie Dark Water, released in 2005, that it almost seems as if it were by design. A case of life imitating art, perhaps? Elisa Lamb's death could have been caused by someone trying to emulate a Hollywood film. Not only did the film depict residents of an old haunted building complaining of foul-tasting dark water coming from their taps, but the cause in both instances was a girl decomposing in the water tank on the roof. If that weren't a creepy enough connection, the film's main characters are a mother named Dahlia and her daughter, Cecilia, like the Black Dahlia and the Cecil Hotel. There are also elevator malfunctions, and young Cecilia can be seen talking to thin air in the elevator because her imaginary friend is there. Whoa.
The elevator game. The Korean elevator game requires a building at least 10 stories high and one player to enter an elevator alone and press a series of buttons. By the way, do not try this at home.
God, no.
In order to open a gateway to a parallel dimension. This new dimension looks much like the same, except it's dark. Electronic devices don't work, and once the elevator doors reopen, you'll see nothing outside the windows but a red cross. If anything seems off, you are not supposed to leave the elevator. There is also a warning about a woman from the other world who may step onto the elevator and ask you where you're going. You are not supposed to speak to her or even look at her. It certainly seems as though Lamb was speaking to someone, and some have speculated that she was playing the game before her death and went horribly wrong. I thought I had ghost stories on there. It doesn't look like it.
To Aleister Crowley. The Aleister Crowley connection is more of a series of strange coincidences. Unless you believe in interdimensional travel, as Crowley did. The notorious occultist claimed to have met a being described as similar to alien greys named Lamb. Yes, Lamb. Furthermore, it's believed that after this interaction, Crowley used a magic ritual to open a portal of entry between Lamb's dimension and ours, which is, of course, of interest to those who think that's actually what Lamb was doing in the elevator. Ow. Crowley also wrote a poem while staying at the Cecil Hotel in London called Jephthah. In it, Jephthah sacrifices his daughter Celia. Not only does Celia sound close to Cecil and is the same pronunciation as the character in Dark Water, but it is also an anagram of Elisa. Okay, that's fucking creepy.
So, like, subscribe, and share. What do you think killed her?
Or who?
I'm on the fence. I'm like, it might have been a ghost.
I seriously think it was an employee.
Yeah. Or an employee possessed by the Cecil ghost.
Or maybe just a ghost.
Kind of like The Shining, where or not The Shining. Yeah, where he was possessed by the overlooked person, or like Amityville Horror, where he was possessed by the devil. Creepy. Alright, we're gonna record another one, so
bye.